Well, I was worried about how I was going to get these sleeves out. I was going to try and rig up a homemade sleeve puller. I was going to get some threaded rod about twice the length of one of the sleeves, rig up some metal bars with holes drilled in them, and actually kind of rig up something where I could actually have a threaded rod coming up and a bar going across the top with a couple of supports, maybe even just 2x4s, and then a nut that as I tightened it would pull the sleeve up. That was my idea. But as luck would have it, my brother-in-law came through for me, and he loaned me a sleeve puller, snap-on one to boot. So there it is. Just got to figure out how to do it, but looks pretty straightforward actually. Got this nice section here. It's got these parts here that looks like this just goes down and goes right into the cylinder and catches. These must catch on the bottom edge of the sleeve, and then you get this deal here, and then these are your supports, I'm assuming. I don't know, I'll figure it out. Alright, I think this is pretty much how it's supposed to go. And then so this piece just slid through here, and then this piece is the other half of the stand that holds it up on that side. And so now if I tighten on this right on top here, when I tighten this, that's going to pull up on the sleeve. So I'm going to see how that works. Alright, I'm trying to work a little faster because it's starting to rain. These kept popping off first two attempts. So then I decided to change these settings here. Basically I moved the tops of these arms out this way, and that's going to make these more straight when it's pulling up, because they were kind of at an angle like this, so because these were in these pins here, and it's actually marked right here, 3 to 4 inches, 4 to 5 inches, and 5 to 6 inches for the bore size, which I didn't measure these bores, but I'm going to try the 4 to 5 position and try it again. Alright, once I got that reset correctly, made sure everything was straight so that it didn't want to pop out of the where it was grabbing on the bottom of the sleeve, it popped free, and now that it's popped free, it's coming out like butter. So now I'm going to remove this brace assembly, and I'm going to stick the there's a slide hammer attachment that actually came with it right there. You stick right on top, it screws right into the top here, and then you can pop this thing right out. Alright, that sleeve's been removed. From this side I don't see any cracks. I'll look at that in a bit. Right now I'm working on getting this front sleeve out. See if I can show you this actually in action. There's a little pop right there every time it moves up a little bit. You can hear it give it a little pop. That's getting a little easier now. I'm going to put the camera down and keep working at this. And there we go. All the sleeves are out. Boy, a lot of rust in that cooling area of the motor. That's for sure. Well, I'm going to have to clean up. There's some scale and stuff here. I'm going to have to clean that up to see if I can see if there's a crack behind that middle cylinder. Well, I can't see anything obvious. That doesn't mean anything to my untrained eye that doesn't look cracked, but I don't know. I'm going to get her out to the other side and take a look. Now, here's the sleeve from the rear cylinder, number 3. Here's the sleeve from the front cylinder, number 1. And take a look in here. Well, again, I can't see anything obvious, but it doesn't exactly convince me that this block is still good. I'm gonna have to do some cleaning in there to see what the hell I can see after it's cleaned up. There's a line right here. Well, that looks like that might be, I don't know, that might be just a mark in the casting. And looking down from the top, there's no clear evidence as to which, if just one cylinder was dropping water into the airbox or if more than one was. There's no clear evidence of that. The airbox is pretty disgusting. It's filled with sludge. Alright, well, like I said, it's raining, so that's it for today. Alright, I want to talk about the backhoe, the Multihoe backhoe. Last time I worked on this, I had finished pulling the last of the sleeve and piston assemblies from the engine block. And next step would have been to order the in-frame rebuild kit, based on the fact that I couldn't see any clear signs of cracks in the block. That would have been the next move, would be to roll the dice and do that. Wasn't really comfortable with doing that to begin with, just because I couldn't be sure whether or not there was a crack in the block or not. So threw this tarp over it just to keep the weather out, and kind of covered it up and put it to sleep. Then I started doing some calculating costs, and started to realize, well, the in-frame rebuild kit with the sleeves and pistons and everything would run me somewhere around $800, and then the radiator needs to be repaired, so I got to factor in the cost of the radiator repair. The water pump would still leak after everything was done, because that's what started this whole problem. When I tried replacing the water pump, my brother-in-law got me a new old stock water pump, but it was the wrong rotation. So I tried taking the parts, internal parts, the seal assembly and bearing assembly out of that one, putting it in this one, swapping it out, and after I did that, the pump still leaked. So I'd be looking at a remanufactured water pump minimum there, on top of all the other stuff. My exhaust system, the muffler, from day one, the top of it was all rotted out. And I put this really makeshift fix on here. I've got some plate steel. I've even got an old oven pan stuck on there upside down, threaded rods, and kind of like bolted it and sandwiched it all together to make a makeshift muffler repair. But it never really sealed as well as it should. So by rights, this should have a new muffler. And then if I do all that, then I've got a good running engine potentially, if all that works successfully. I got a good running engine in a very tired old backhoe. I mean, this thing has got hydraulic leaks. I rebuilt the spool valve assembly for the front end loader, and the front end loader works good, but the rear, I put a lot of money into rebuilding the 6 spool valve assembly for the backhoe. It's a Hydroco, and that always leaked, especially when it would get hot. So then I repacked this cylinder for the backhoe bucket, and last time I was running this, I started having problems with this cylinder for the dipper stick. It would basically, the dipper stick wouldn't stay up, and it had no breakout power. So it was clear to me that now that cylinder needs to be rebuilt. The other issues, the front end's always been kind of loose on this thing. It's got power steering that's done through a hydraulic cylinder there, but I mean just the front end was kind of loose. Front tires are new. This one's a little low on air, but front tires are new. Rims are in kind of rough shape, so that's probably why this one's low. Never really could get a good bead seal on these. This tire is fairly new, but the other tire is the one that was originally on there when I got it, so that's a lot older. It's weather checked. Never had a seat. The metal frame was there, and then I went in junkyard and got this seat out of a van and stuck it on there, and it worked, but it makes it kind of ridiculous. But of course, the other obvious thing is there's no cab. This originally had a full cab on it, and somebody took the full cab off and the fenders off. The hood The hood that's on there now had been cut with a torch, so a good section of the hood was missing, including the front part that had the headlights and everything. So what I'm getting at is I came to the painful decision that I am not going to bother fixing the backhoe. I've decided I'm going to part out what I can part out on it and sell those parts, and then I'm going to scrap the rest of it for scrap value. And I hate the idea of not having a backhoe, but I'm not in construction for a living, so I don't need a backhoe to make my living. If I did, I'd be really be pretty pathetic if this was my backhoe for making a living. Anyways, make a long story short, now I'm going to basically scrap it. So the question is how to scrap it. In order to maximize the value, I should do as much disassembly as I can myself and truck as much of the stuff as I can physically truck to the scrapyard myself. So I'm figuring the way I want to attack this is if I can get the loader and the backhoe off of the unit. If I can get those off the unit, then I might actually, oh, and also the two stabilizers here, which, oh, you know, case in point, these seals obviously are weak too because they leak down. That one was not in the down position when I parked it here, and now it's fully down, and this one's halfway down. But anyways, get those arms off, get the backhoe off, get the loader off, and I could actually tow this thing out of the yard where my wife hates looking at it and worry about doing something with it later.